The original 12 disciples are some of the most famous names in human history. Peter, John, Matthew. Their names are carved into the foundations of global religion. But history hides a much darker, far more mysterious chapter. What happened to the replacements? The men and women who stepped up into the vacuum of power after the original 12 were hunted down, exiled, or martyred. According to ancient texts hidden for centuries, these forgotten apostles traveled to the very edges of the known world, only to meet fates that were deliberately erased from the mainstream narrative. Some were thrown from towering heights, others were cast out to sea to die. In this video, we are going to open the forbidden archives and explore the chilling, awe-inspiring history of the forgotten apostles. Let us begin with the ultimate outsider, Matthias. Imagine the psychological weight of being the 13th man. After the betrayal and the subsequent death of Judas Iscariot, the remaining 11 disciples were left with a fractured circle. According to the Acts of the Apostles, they needed a replacement to restore the holy number of 12. But they didn't choose Matthias through a rigorous theological debate. They cast lots. Essentially, they rolled the dice, leaving the decision to divine providence. Matthias won the lottery, but it was a lottery that came with a death sentence. After his sudden elevation to the inner circle, Matthias practically vanishes from the biblical text. But apocryphal legends and early Christian historians track his movements into the deep, dangerous territories of the ancient world. It is said that Matthias traveled north, far beyond the safety of the Mediterranean, venturing into the wild, untamed lands of Colchis, modern-day Georgia. Here he preached to tribes that ancient Greek historians described as hostile and cannibalistic. The legends state that Matthias was eventually captured by these local tribes for daring to bring a foreign religion into their ancestral lands. He was subjected to a brutal execution. Some traditions claim he was blinded and imprisoned, while the most enduring medieval legends state he was tied to a cross, stoned by an angry mob, and finally beheaded with an axe. Today, the symbol of Saint Matthias in Christian art is the very bird or axe that ended his life. He was the man chosen by chance, only to be rewarded with absolute agony. But Matthias wasn't the only one to step into the shadows of the original 12. We must turn our attention to the most controversial figure in early Christianity, Paul of Tarsus. If you know everything about the New Testament, you know Paul. He wrote half of it. But Paul was not one of the original 12. In fact, he started his career as their greatest nightmare. Originally known as Saul, he was a radical Pharisee who made it his life's mission to hunt down and eradicate the early followers of Jesus. He was present at the stoning of the first Christian martyr, Stephen, watching with approval as the man was killed for his faith. But then, on the dusty road to Damascus, Saul experienced a blinding, terrifying vision that completely shattered his worldview. He transformed from the church's greatest predator to its most prolific architect, changing his name to Paul. But his integration into the group was anything but smooth. The original disciples in Jerusalem, led by Peter, were deeply suspicious of this former assassin. Paul was a rogue agent. He didn't walk with Jesus. He didn't hear the original sermons, yet he claimed a direct divine authority. Paul took the message away from the Jewish enclaves and brought it to the Gentiles, traveling thousands of miles across the Roman Empire, surviving shipwrecks, snake bites, and angry mobs. But his relentless drive eventually put him on a collision course with the most dangerous man on earth, the Roman Emperor. Back in Jerusalem. This brings us to a figure whose very existence makes many theologians uncomfortable. James the Just. Why is he so controversial? Because according to the historian Flavius Josephus and several early Christian writings, James was the literal biological brother of Jesus. While Peter is often credited as the rock of the church, historian evidence suggests that it was actually James who ruled the early Christian community in Jerusalem with an iron fist. James was an ascetic. He never drank wine, never ate meat, and never cut his hair. It was said he spent so much time kneeling in prayer on the cold stone floors of the temple that his knees became thick and collapsed like those of a camel. James was the ultimate insider, a man who shared the same blood as the founder of the faith. But his immense popularity and strict adherence to Jewish law made him a massive threat to the corrupt religious elite. In the year 62 AD, the high priest Ananus saw an opportunity. With the Roman governor dead and his replacement still traveling to Judea, orchestrated a swift and illegal trial. James was dragged to the pinnacle of the great temple of Jerusalem, a dizzying, terrifying height looking down over the Kidron Valley. The priests demanded he renounce his brother's divinity in front of the massive crowds gathered below. When James refused, they pushed him. He plummeted from the towering heights, crashing into the stone courtyard below. But miraculously, the fall did not kill him. As James lay on the ground, broken and bleeding, he began to pray for his attackers. Enraged that he was still breathing, a mob descended upon him. A fuller, a man who washed clothes for a living, stepped forward with a heavy wooden club and delivered a fatal blow, ending the life of the brother of Jesus. His death sent shockwaves through Jerusalem, and many ancient historians believe that the subsequent destruction of the city by the Romans was a direct divine punishment for the murder of James the Just. But the erasure of early Christian figures wasn't limited to men. Perhaps the most tragic and misunderstood, forgotten apostle is Mary Magdalene. For centuries, Western art and sermons have painted Mary Magdalene as a repentant prostitute, a weeping sinner washing feet with her tears. But if you look at the earliest texts, it is a complete fabrication. A smear campaign designed to sideline one of the most powerful women in history. In the original Gospels, Mary Magdalene is a wealthy patron who funds the movement. More importantly, she is the apostle to the apostles. When all the men fled in terror during the crucifixion, Mary stayed. She was the first to witness the empty tomb. In the Gnostic texts discovered in Egypt, such as the Gospel of Mary, she is depicted as the favorite disciple, the one to whom Jesus entrusted secret cosmic knowledge that he hid from the men. Peter is even shown as being fiercely jealous of her. So what happened to this powerful female leader? As the church became more institutionalized and patriarchal, Mary's true role was systematically erased. Pope Gregory the Great in the 6th century officially conflated her with an unnamed sinful woman, sealing her reputation for over 1,000 years. But local legends in southern France tell a different, far more cinematic story. The Golden Legend states that after the crucifixion, Mary Magdalene, along with a few other followers, was forced into a small, rudderless boat by her enemies and pushed out into the treacherous Mediterranean Sea, expected to drown. But the boat miraculously drifted across the sea, eventually washing ashore on the coast of Gaul, modern-day France. There, she spent the next 30 years living in a remote high-altitude cave in the Saint Baume Mountains, dedicating her life to deep mystical contemplation. Today, her supposed skull is kept in a golden reliquary in the Basilica of Saint-Maximin la Sainte-Baume, a haunting reminder of the woman who was written out of the boardroom of Earth. And they bled on the foreign soil. They may not have the global name recognition of Peter or John, but without them, the movement would have died in the dusty streets of Jerusalem. History is written by the survivors, and often it is edited by the powerful. But if we look closely at the ancient wounds, the apocryphal texts, and the golden reliquaries, the voices of the forgotten apostles are still whispering from the dark. If this journey into the shadows of history captivated you, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and tell me in the comments which forgotten figure fascinated you the most. This is Hidden Chronicle.